Okay, so we're going to spend the rest of today's session really focusing on sentence correction practice, and that means trying to get our pattern recognition skills to the point where we can do these questions in 1 minute. So that's how long the polls are going to last. I'm going to very, very quickly cover the issue of the issues that we need to watch out for. Subject-verb agreement. There's six things that we're going to be tested on, 6 grammatical errors that we're going to be tested on. Subject-verb agreement, red flags for subject-verb agreement are the trick words. I think you've all had the document. Well, certainly we covered it in session 1. That defines what a trick word is, but in a nutshell, it's a word, and we'll see quite a few examples in today's session of them popping up in questions that looks like it might be plural, but is in fact singular. GMAT really loves these questions, these words, because it gives them an easy way to try and trick you. Also, sentences where the subject and verb are far apart, you should immediately think, is this question about subject and verb agreement? If you see a pronoun towards the end of a sentence, then you should consider that it may be an issue of pronoun reference, because any pronoun towards the end of a sentence may be confusing, it may be ambiguous, it may refer to a choice of different possible nouns. Well, if that's the case, then GMAT's not going to like it. Remember that here, as in several other types of grammatical errors in sentence correction, we don't consider the question of common sense. We don't say, well, the sentence wouldn't make any sense if this pronoun was determined to be ambiguous. The pronoun is very clear in what it needs to refer to. No, we consider that that if it's ambiguous grammatically, then it's wrong. So that's important. Where we see modifiers, if the sentence starts with an introductory modifying phrase, and we'll see a few examples of that over the next 40 minutes or so, then we should immediately say, all right, that's probably a key element of the question. It's probably a key to eliminating answer choices quickly. And any sentence that has many subjects, well, there's a strong possibility in any sentence that has many subjects that a modifier could be misplaced, could be placed in a way that's ambiguous. Parallelism, anytime we see a list or a comparison. I did a count recently, and I reckon that this comes up in about 40% of sentence correction questions, some kind of list or comparison. Even if the main issue of the question is not parallelism, a list or comparison allows us to eliminate at least 1 or sometimes as many as 4 answer choices right away for failing to observe grammatical parallelism in the list or grammatical parallelism in a comparison combined with comparison of sense, comparisons that make sense between different items in the comparison. Where we have idiom questions, well, there's an issue of, it's very difficult to revise for idioms, although I think you've all seen the list of idioms that are provided in session 1. Let me know if you haven't seen that. And if you see a choice of prepositional phrases in the answer choices, or a very short underlined bit of the sentence, then you should concentrate your mind on the fact that it's probably a question about idiom. And lastly, verb tense. Any sentence where there are changes in tense, any sentence where the action takes place over time, any time you see use of the past perfect or the future perfect tense, you should consider that the question is probably focused on verb tense, and then that's going to be where the trickery in the question lies. So, having said all that, let's have a look now at some sample questions. So, we'll have a look at question 1 first of all, and we'll get off to a start. And remember, we're 1 minute per question. Okay, answer choices in. All right, so the correct answer here is C, without another doctor's testimony. I'm afraid that this is a painful way to start out our question, our practice, because this is an idiom question. It's really not very easy to tell what's the correct answer if you're not a native English speaker. It's also not very easy to explain what the correct answer ought to be. If there is a lack of some other doctor to testify, well, we don't necessarily talk about a lack in this sense of there being a sort of concrete lack, unless there will be another doctor to testify. Well, this is a question of why is the verb tense changing. We'll find it difficult to prove damage unless there, usually you would say, unless there is another doctor to testify. You've established that we're talking about the future. The future in the earlier part of the sentence. We don't need to make that. It's not idiomatically correct to make it consistent through the rest of the sentence. Let's look at question number 2, and I'll open another poll. Correct answer is E, and the issue is modifiers. Samuel Sewall viewed marriage as other 17th century colonists. Well, we need to be able to say as. The word as flags up to us that that's a modifying phrase, as other 17th century colonists. Is a modifying phrase, and therefore it should be right next to what it modifies. Well, what does it modify? It modifies Samuel Sewall. He's a 17th century colonist, not marriage. In answer choice A, we have this issue of a misplaced modifier. In answer choice B, that's corrected, so that could be the answer. We'll come back to it. Samuel Sewall viewed marriage to be a property arrangement like other 17th century colonists. Again, like other 17th century colonists is misplaced modifier. Modifier needs to be right next to what it modifies, which is Samuel Sewall. Marriage to Samuel Sewall, like other 17th century colonists. Well, the subject is marriage, and the modifier is like other 17th century colonists. The modifier needs to be next to the subject that it modifies, and that's not the case in D. So we need to choose between B and E, where the modifier is correctly placed. Samuel Sewall viewed marriage to be a property arrangement rather than viewing it as an emotional bond based on romantic love. Well, it's really a question of idiom. As did other 17th century colonists is less graceful than starting with the subject of the sentence and giving us a very straightforward declarative sentence. We don't need the E avoids this use of the word did therefore makes the sentence more elegant and straightforward. Okay, let's look now at